why don't we talk about my favorite person and your favorite person? Obviously, what I'm talking about here is Mace Randolph, the scooper extraordinaire who has been making an interesting name for herself today by popping up a couple of key tidbits here that are getting some pushback, as well as getting a lot of people kind of calling it out. And let's see here. So first up, on her Twitter, she dropped this a couple hours ago. She says, "Whoa, I hear Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are in talks to head over to the movie side of Star Wars. That would be brilliant." And the thing is, she's not wrong. She's not wrong. Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau heading over from Disney Plus to the theatrical side of things is probably ultimately for the best for Star Wars on a theatrical level. All right. Now, if you were here last night, I covered that kind of topic in this video right here. Star Wars feature on Disney Plus. RJ and I talked about it for a while. That's up on last night's episode. The individual video is going to drop this weekend when I'm not doing the show, but that will be coming out. And we talked about how really Star Wars is going to find itself in better position, quite frankly, for having itself be out there on streaming. I think it's in a better position on streaming because it's going to be able to reach more people. It's going to be able to build a more dedicated fan base. And then if they do follow the Marvel method, which would be establishing characters on Disney Plus and then moving them into the theatrical, then from there, we would be able to see that brand loyalty come back in to the theaters. But a lot of other people have argued that it's possibly better for Star Wars to remain an event franchise in theaters rather than something that's like Marvel, which has become serialized, must-see TV, film of the week sort of thing. And maybe they're right. We can get a lot more out of Star Wars on Disney Plus and then move that into the big screen and in order to go from there. But that wasn't the only thing that she dropped. And this is the one that's getting the pushback. So she also says here that also Star Wars is trying to bring back these characters, even Adam Driver, most likely for Disney Plus, but movies not out of the question. I would love to see them come back with properly developed stories. Now, the reason why this one is getting a lot of pushback is because Adam Driver did say the other day in an interview that he would return to Star Wars. He would not be against returning to Star Wars, provided that it was a filmmaker driven property. He is all about working with good filmmakers. He is all about working with the kind of people who are going to push him as an actor and push the bounds of storytelling, which is probably why he likes working with Ridley Scott, why he tried 2 Ridley Scott films in 2 months, and both have effectively kind of went iffy. Not Adam Driver's fault, but it's just, I think, wrong time of year. So the thing with the Adam Driver thing is one thing, but the other part kind of comes from this right here. So in the most recent Empire issue, January 2022, all about the Book of Boba Fett, there is an interview with Kathleen Kennedy where she does talk about the future to an extent of the sequel trilogy characters, which is something that, I'll be honest with you guys, I don't really care about. I don't know if you guys care about any of the sequel trilogy characters. I don't know if you want to see more coming out of the sequel trilogy characters. I personally don't. I think let that go for right now. If you're going to go back to that world, go a couple 100 years in the future and start over that fresh. However, Kathleen Kennedy was hinting that Star Wars could see a return of the sequel trilogy characters. And this is what it says. In an interview with Empire Magazine, Kennedy teased that Rey, Finn, and Poe are not gone forever, saying here, certainly, those are not characters we're going to forget. They'll live on. And those are conversations that are going on with the creative team as well. And Kennedy did make comments similar to this back in 2017 when she revealed that she and the team of creative executives at Lucasfilm were looking at narratively where that might go for future stories beyond Episode 9 with these characters, Rey, Poe, Finn, and BB-8. But the thing is that they're not really interested in doing that. I mean, like, Finn has come out and made claims of the issues, John Boyega has had his issues about how the racial stereotyping happened and how he felt this as a black actor in the role. You know, I mean, Oscar Isaac has not really said anything about it coming off of, playing Poe Dameron in episode 9. He's, I think, more happy right now going over to Moon Knight. It gives him something to do. And Daisy Ridley definitely would come back because she hasn't really had a lot of, I would argue, opportunity since then. Now, granted, the Death on the Nile has been delayed, and that had a lot to do with Armie Hammer and his particular brand of, you know, delicacies that he enjoyed to indulge in, never mind the accusations levied against him, and that's causing a bit of problem for that for right now. But when we think about the sequel trilogy and where things are going to go with that, obviously the fans aren't really there for it. I'm sorry. I'm going to the mall or I'm going over to Costco and I'm seeing a shit ton of Baby Yoda merch, and I'm seeing like Star Wars stuff that's more centered around the Mandalorian and Boba Fett. Now I know that the Book of Boba Fett drops here in just less than a month, which is amazing. And I know that's going to be the next big push, and they're shooting Mandalorian season 3 right now. I know all of those things, but let's be fair. The Star Wars brand itself was damaged coming off of the sequel trilogy. And one of the key things that's saving it is the concept of Mandalorian and Star Wars streaming on Disney Plus. And that, my friends, is probably like the best thing for it right now, is to stay there and to not go into the sequel trilogy. At this point, they don't need to expand upon the sequel trilogy past it. They need to build a pathway towards it that connects the dots and opens up the universe for more understanding of why things happened the way that they happened, because then it's going to give people a better understanding of some of the choices that they made for that particular franchise for that sequel trilogy. And I know that a lot of people are going to disagree with me on that, and they're just going to say, let it go, let it die, kill it if you have to, sort of thing. But we're talking about a multi-billion-dollar company here who is trying to create a through line that is trying to get people to watch the movies in China and then become fans that will then become fans of the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy and the Disney Plus shows and all of that stuff. And that is what they've been working on now for a couple of years. And they're going to continue working on that until they get it. And so I'm telling you guys, as right now, the best thing for Star Wars is not for John and Dave to go over to the theatrical side. What it is they need to focus on the Disney Plus side, establish new characters, establish a new fan base, and then build from there. However, one of the things I saw was from Corey, what was his name? He's one of the guys from, I really honestly forget who is it here? Oh, Corey Van Dyke from formerly of a Star Wars show. I forgot what it was. He tweeted out January 22nd, 2021, that for 2027, there's an untitled Disney Star Wars film that is slated for release December 17th, 2027, and that he says that it's a Mandalorian film. And we did hear talks, I believe, from Bob Iger, one of the executives of Disney, right around the time The Mandalorian dropped, which said that it's possible that we might see these characters make their way over to the big screen. And the truth of the matter is, that is the event I think a lot of fans are waiting for. That is the event that a lot of people are wanting to get their hands on. And I think that, quite frankly, will really, really, really benefit what's going on with Star Wars. So that is simply my take on that one, right? Mike Oxlong here says, for $2, buddy, thank you. No more Mary Sue Skywalker, please. I'll take Ben. I would love a Knights of Ren series. I would love to be able to see what with that. And I'm really hoping that we do get a bit more out of it here. Skywalker Brian from skywalkingadventure.com says, Matt, from my end, if the talks are happening and they really need to amp up more of the characters for Galaxy's Edge that takes place in the sequel trilogy, like to me, I think that could likely work out. See, here's the thing with that, man. I'm telling you, the biggest problem that Disney had was looking at the sequel trilogy and trying to build a theme park around a property that was ending. You know what I mean? Like around a property that was ending. Like they launched it in May of 2019, 6 months before literally the end of the First Order. They already creatively backed themselves into a corner with all this, especially because they were getting ready to launch Mandalorian and everything. They need to adjust Galaxy's Edge to go back in time, right? They need to go back in time and set Galaxy's Edge during the Mandalorian, during the post Return of the Jedi era, that 30-year period. Now, I know that's going to mess with everything in regards to Rise of the Resistance, but perhaps maybe they should treat that kind of like, Star Tours, and just eventually revamp the ride. If everything is already there, they could, I'm not saying that it's going to be cheap, but they could revamp it. I mean, I've watched the videos of Rise of the Resistance, and it looks like an amazing ride, and I really, really, really want to do it. But it's like they could easily just go back and tweak it out to something with maybe like a remnant of the Empire that's still hanging around, and reuse a lot of the same stuff. And it would be something maybe a bit different. But that's what I think they should reboot that stuff too. They need Batuu to be amazing, and it's not amazing. It's not amazing. It's just it's not the best that it could be. So that is something that I'm hoping is going to be resolved here very, very, very soon. But in the meantime, we'll have to wait to see what happens with the sequel guys, if they go over to anything else, or if Grace is right or wrong. It's up to you. I want to hear your thoughts. Do you feel Grace is right? Do you feel Grace is wrong? Definitely let me know.